Brandon came in here, but we didn't have one to appropriate.
Yeah, they told me. I knew it wasn't that hours when it was possible.
You guys in town probably.
Do it, this first will be all.
We all first.
He's right there. He's pulling away as we speak. He's pulling away.
Gary, say it ain't so.
What?
Say it ain't
You
so.
are go ahead to go. Phone lines are open. You are recording. Go ahead, please.
All right, great, Matt, thank you very much. We're starting our annual reorganizational meeting right now. We were just in executive session beforehand where we were going over contract and personnel items. So I'd like to call the meeting to order right now. Julie, would you do roll call, please?
Sure, Barb Dayton.
Here.
Dave Conlon.
Here.
Tim Frazier.
Here.
Pat Brazian.
Here.
Amy Rivera.
Here?
And if we could all rise to the pledge.
It's going to be on the TV. I'm just one of the back if you can't see it.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So Julie, we will start administrative oversight.
That's correct, yeah.
Right.
Has the board decided on the board president for this school year? Going to be the board president?
I'm going to continue on as board president.
Okay.
Although you have to,
Nomination?
yes.
Nominate Bob.
Yeah, and then we're make a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Do I have to get signed in as a member again for?
Yes.
before I do that?
I will sign that as the board president.
Okay.
And then you'll read that. Okay.
I, Barbara Dayton, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of school board president according to the best of my ability.
And that would take place in swearing you in, because you're now sworn in as a trustee, as trustees. Nope, that's it.
Okay.
Okay, next on the agenda, has the board chosen a vice president?
I nominate Tim.
And second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Really.
I, Tim Frazier, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Board Vice President according to the best of my ability.
Do I have a choice?
Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of,
I, Deborah Winter, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of superintendent according to the best of my ability. Ready to you?
is that the next one in line?
Yes.
District Clerk 2.
What is it for next?
Next is,
So we already did that, because they nominated you as president, you already sworn.
okay, all right.
So I think I'm
So now
next.
we have to, district clerk, right. So, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby approves the appointment of Julie Bistrian to the stipend 12-month position of district clerk for the 2020-2021 school.
2022.
See there? For the 2021-2022 school year, unless sooner discontinued at an annual stipend of $19,000. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then, I, Julie Bistrian, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of district clerk according to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
That's that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we do once a year, so that I refresh.
Be it resolved that the Board of Education, are you ready for the next one? Billy?
Yep.
You ready? Okay.
Yep.
Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby approves the appointment of Linda Kernell as a deputy district clerk for the 2021-2022 school year. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then on this one for district treasurer, the salary is actually rolled into his contractual salary. So the resolution will end at unless we're discontinued.
What point can she do with consent agenda? Does she have to read one of these resolutions?
No, she can do a consent agenda unless there's any changes that we have to make.
We'll do Mike and we'll do the rest of
Okay.
it. So be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby approves the appointment of Michael Henry as district treasurer for the 2021-2022 school year unless sooner discontinued. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Julie, does Mike does he have to sign?
No.
Okay. So in that respect then, do I have a motion to remove the remainder of these items, which would be item D, which is our board counsel, E, internal auditor, F, claims auditor, G, chairpersons for committee on special education, H, committee on special education, I, chairpersons for the committee on preschool special education, J, committee on preschool special education, K, appointment of section 504 committee, L, asbestos abatement officer Dan Newman, M, approval of purchasing agent Julie Bistrian, N, non-stipend appointments, O, contractual services appointments. To consent agenda.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Julie, can we do the same for the resolutions?
Yes.
Okay. So we have a number of resolutions here. Do I have, well, I'll just say what they are. Our resolutions are the approval of board A, approval of board designations, B, calendar, regular monthly board meetings, C, C, official district newspapers. D, district insurance consultants. E, authorization for bonding of district treasurer, superintendent, district clerk, and purchasing agent claims auditor. F, approval of board authorization. G, readoption of policies and regulations. H, approval of mileage rate for use of personal vehicle for district business. I, approval of voting machine rental, ballot printing, and personnel to conduct the annual district meeting. J, approval of impartial hearing officer. K, approval of appointments of special committees. L, our agreement with lifespan. M, agreement for comprehensive therapy services. N, agreement on family service leave. O, agreement for St. James tutoring. P, agreement for Shahal Rosenblatt for tutoring services. Q, the agreement with ESID Pediatrics. R, Seneca Consulting Affordable Care Act reporting. S, agreement for Project MOST for the 2021-2022 school year. T, agreement with Southampton UFSD for summer school and 2020-21 school year. U, agreement for Montauk UFSD summer school and 2021-2022 school year. B, agreement with Bridgehampton UFSD for the 2021-2022 school year. So do I have a motion to move the resolutions A through B to consent agenda?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just a question on it, Julie, it's dying and
Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn the reorganization?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's good to see you back.
Good to be here.
Really?
Good to see you.
It's been a while.
Is there an opportunity to ask clarification for any of these things, or is that not? I mean, there's no, like, public commentary.
No, this is just, this is just what happens every year. So we are now, do I have a motion? I would like to call the regular meeting to order. Julie, you actually need to do roll call again.
No, nobody's left, and we're all in person, so we're fine for a roll call.
So we do have a public commentary number 1 right now, which is for our regular meeting agenda. This relates to these items for public commentary number 1, our board business items, which would be capital project, personnel, and we have finance, and there you go. So if there's an item for public commentary for any of those items, this would be the time.
I just would like to thank the board and administration for allowing the curriculum writing this summer, and think that a lot of teachers are really excited about that.
Great, that's wonderful to hear. Thank you. Matt, we actually technically have a public commentary number 1 right now, if you have anybody calling in.
We have 0 callers right now. Thank you.
Okay. So we will jump into hearing about our capital project right now then. Yeah. Hey, Derek, Jim, joining us.
Good to see everyone in person.
No podium, what are you going to do?
Before you get started, I'd like to thank both of you for giving me a tour this afternoon of what's taking place. I really appreciate that. I regret the fact you put me to work right away.
All hands on deck.
No, I think it answered a lot of questions I had, so I'm looking forward to the report, but I want to thank you for taking your time to do that.
Our pleasure. And anytime, I'm going to be here all week, every day almost. So whoever would like to come through, I'm more than happy to.
This rain more.
Is there a PowerPoint?
Julie, can you bring up the PowerPoint?
I'm trying to get no internet connection.
Oh,
Welcome to Springs.
welcome to our world. Here we go.
I'm going to do the best I can.
Oh, what a shame.
Can that be angled any differently so people can see better?
You want me to try to turn it?
Yeah.
You put us on wheels.
Julie, can you please?
careful, you know, there's.
Matt, you sure you can't turn it?
Unfortunately. We just try to spin it.
Take the wires, but yes, that's perfect.
Okay, so you're cutting off Pat and Amy.
Yeah, because the man behind the screen has to see them.
Okay.
A little bit.
That's not.
It's gonna be a game to it.
There you go, perfect.
And Kurt.
No internet connection, Dennis, you're gonna have to.
I'm trying, I'll just keep.
We'll post it.
You want me to continue with what you're doing and see if you can get it, or?
I have internet.
I have, yeah, my connection.
Well, it's for yes.
You have the power?
No,
Yeah,
no,
Oh, got his stone and his chisel.
Can you email it to Carrie?
I'll have to email it to you.
It wasn't on the one doc.
How am I getting it up?
Yeah, it's on board docs.
I don't tell him much.
I'm on board docs, and I can get it.
Yeah, it's on board docs.
But where am I sending it to? Because we don't have anything.
Hey, Matt,
I send it from that.
Yes.
we have a presentation. How do we send that to you? Or how do we get that onto the TV?
Just use the Zoom link like you
You
used
send
to, and then I will let you in, and then we'll do a share screen.
Okay, can you send it to K. Delaglio at springschool.org?
Carrie,
I guess you guys gotta sing it out. All the public. You're gonna do one now?
It's not Word doc.
I got it.
Is that a printout that you have? We can walk
Just a
around.
moment.
I want to see those photos. Deb said, you know, I was going to be really impressed.
definitely getting there. It's, worth taking a look.
I was very impressed with your photography skills.
Thank you. I was on the roof,
I know.
scared of heights, so
I know you were on the, and what kind of lens was that? Is that okay?
panoramic on the iPhone.
Matt, did you send that link to Carrie?
It's a wonderful township.
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna have to hang on.
Just hold up your pictures in front of you.
There's chicken scratch all over these. Hesitate to do that.
Please, that's what.
Yeah. So Derek, I'm going to ask Christine to give us a principal report while they try to get that set up. We'll go through a different item first. So Christine, are you ready?
Sure, I'm
Rhea?
ready.
All right.
Okay. All right, so you mentioned, no, I don't.
Can somebody text me the email?
You got it? So, just, you mentioned earlier, about summer, thank you, Chris Lamanda, about summer planning, curriculum writing, and I'm happy to report that we have 12 committees and over 40 teachers who signed up to do curriculum writing and planning this summer. And I am very proud of the staff because it shows how much they're ready to dig in and get ready for the kids this year. We did lose a little time with COVID, and they're going to maximize all the time that they have this summer to get ready to roll so that they can start the school year off planned and aligned, and there's a lot of collaboration going on. Some of our main focuses, besides grade level planning and department level planning, we have a focus on science, STEAM, and tech, and we will be working with a curriculum developer for BOCES by the name of Miss Angela, and she's going to be working with Mr. Knight and some other teachers from that committee to do a scope and sequence for K-8. And then we have a civics committee, and that is sort of across the board. There's a lot of representation from different grades and departments, and we will take a look at the New York State Seal for Civic Readiness and then brainstorm some ideas of how to bring more civics knowledge and experiences to our K-8 students. We have a consultant, Diana Koloff, coming in on August 18th and 19th to work specifically with teachers of mathematics, K-8, and she will be helping us to align our current curriculum to the next generation math standards and also doing vertical planning K-8 for math. So we're really excited about the summer planning, and I'd like to thank our teachers and thank the board for that opportunity and this winter, and thanks everybody for taking advantage of that opportunity. I think it's going to serve our students very well.
We will be using the ESSA funds, which professional development was really highly recommended because of the last year and a half. They also recommended development for our administrators, so we will be doing a retreat with a consultant facilitating that on August 4th for our new administrative team. And that will be all ESSA funded, not come out of the general.
Great. Sounds wonderful. Great, thank you, Christine.
Sure, you're welcome.
Carrie, did you get the email?
I am doing now.
Okay, I think
I'm on that. And hold on.
Where's to share?
Share screen. I got it. It's the big green button. Windows.
there we go.
Thanks, Matt.
Before Derek starts, I just want to thank him for stepping up and being here this week. Really appreciate him being out here with us.
My pleasure, and I enjoy it out here, so thanks for having me.
Is this how you're dressed out on?
He cleans up nice.
I got a gym membership just for tonight. All right, so, Carrie, are you able to flip through?
I sure am.
Beautiful. All right, I'll give you a wink.
Okay.
All right, so tonight's presentation is going to consist of the following topics. Section 1, work progress for July. Section 2, work plan for August. And then some photos, and then an opportunity for questions and comments afterwards. All right, so work schedule for July. Reconstruction of the old gym. Creating new art, music rooms, and a small gymnasium as well. Demolition and reconstruction of the existing art room. Abatement and demolition of Area A, which is the main office area, and that art room is adjacent to that as well. Demolition of Area C, which is the new west egress. It's a egress that we need to put in, so they're cutting a new hole in the wall on the west elevation to limit the travel distance for students to get out of the building. Framing of the new small group classrooms, number 11A and 11B. This was previously the locker room. Start the installation of the new addition flooring. As stated last board meeting, we were having difficulty with humidity. There was a change order for some mitigation. We're still struggling with it a little bit. The contractor has agreed to do it at their cost to bring in dehumidification systems. So they're bringing 6 units in on Thursday. And systematically, we're going to work through the new addition, dehumidifying, putting the floor in, and then working their way through each space. Installing new doors and windows. All the doors and windows are installed in the new addition. They're currently working on the existing building, the front elevation. There's some courtyard windows, and then on the west elevation as well. Installing new curbs, sidewalks, and drainage. This is throughout the entire site, short of the front of the building. You probably saw it when you pulled up. Work schedule for August. Basically just finish, but to get into a little more detail, cutting new openings in the existing gym and west egress. Construction of renovated existing gym, which, as I previously discussed, the art, music, and the small gymnasium. start the installation of the new gym wood floor. Again, humidity, but we have time, and we project that to really start the beginning of August, and that will give them ample time to have it in place for the start of school. Reconstruction of the existing art room. That's the art room that's adjacent to the main office suite. Complete construction of the new garage. If you drove by, you can see the wood structure that's out there. They plan to have that weather tight by the end of next week. That allows for the well to be relocated, the power for the new well, for the irrigation is over there. So once we get that transition, we're able to demo the old garage. Complete renovation for the receiving area and bus break room. That's the existing portable building. They're currently abating that, starting demo next couple of days, and then they're going to reconstruct it into those two spaces. Continue construction of the main office suite, currently being abated. We expect by next week to start the reconstruction of that area. And site work for the east driveway, parking lots, and the parent drop-off loop. Moving to some of the photos. This is the tech room. You can see the paint is done, the ceilings are done. Those are cord reels in the ceiling. There's the caseworks installed. Really, the only component left is the flooring for that space, and that will be ready to set it up. And
I have to say that picture doesn't do it justice. I mean, it's much bigger than
way
that
bigger.
picture shows. And the way it's set up is pretty amazing. I just think our kids are going to love this.
it is a very nice space. Nice design, Jim. All right. Now, this is the new science room. Probably also doesn't do it justice. Panoramic shots to try to get it all in one photo. But again, cord reels, ceilings complete, windows in, painted. And again, just the flooring, which after Thursday, that should really be progressing. And that process goes quickly. Once we get the right conditions, I mean, they could do 3 classrooms in a day, essentially. So it should go very quick once we get started.
What impressed me was the lighting fixtures and how they're able to adjust those for different kinds of lighting, for whatever you're doing in the classroom.
And these are pendant lighting that you could see hanging.
And they actually shine up and down, which gives a great effect on the ceiling too. So you just can't see that in the picture, but it's pretty impressive.
Actual light too, is fantastic.
Oh, yeah, natural, of course.
This used to be a locker room. Abatement was completed, demo was completed. Now they're putting a dividing wall. This is creating those rooms 11A, 11B, small group rooms. So the framing started. The MEP, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, rough-in, is commencing. Soon sheetrock will go up and we'll start finishing out those spaces. New doorways cut in. Frames are on site. Almost every piece of material is on site, which at this stage of the game is very positive. Still waiting for a few components, but everything is projected to be here in time to be installed before students arrive.
This is the boys' side, right? Boys' coach's office, boys' locker room?
This is in the existing building, this is the old locker.
The old one.
Both parts.
that
No,
was the
one is the girls, I
It's
think.
the girls' locker.
This is the girls. The boys is going to be a classroom.
I knew one of them was a classroom,
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure
Yeah, I'm
which.
pretty sure that was the girls, and the
Yeah.
boys became, I think it was labeled as a special ed classroom,
Right.
which is on the other side of that wall. I don't have a photo of that one, unfortunately. So this is the existing portable.
Wow.
That's like unbelievable.
Is that the whole thing
Wow.
inside?
That's the whole thing
Wow.
inside. They're prepping for abatement. The abatements actually happen today, should be done tomorrow. And then they'll start reconstructing and dividing it into those 2 spaces, which was the bus break room and the receiving area. This next photo, the left photo is just taken from a distance off the roof actually, and that's the new garage. The right photo is a close-up of it. This was taken this morning. If you look at it now, there's actually much more progress than this. There's a lot of guys on site. I think we were at 80 something today, so there's a lot happening. The left side of this photo is the new gym addition. Right side is the existing gym. This is specific, the concrete truck, that's a pump truck with the pump going in. They needed to raise the floor where the wood floor was cut out to create the music rooms, art rooms, practice rooms. So they needed to raise the elevation of the floor. And this is the truck that was required to do it. The next photo will show you the inside of this space. So that's the inside. This is the doorway where that truck was, and that's the existing wood floor, which is going to remain and be the small gym. This side, a wall will come up, creating the music area and the practice rooms over in this side.
Again, the photo doesn't do it justice, it's much bigger than that. That space is going to be amazing for the music part.
I'll take better photos next.
I'm not complaining about it. I don't care how you do it, it doesn't.
A GoPro.
It never does.
Maybe you need a different camera.
With these sidewalks.
All right, so this, it says bus loop, disregard that. It's an error, that's a parent drop-off loop.
Change that before we post it, okay?
I'll have it to you tonight. Concrete curbs, sidewalks. Again, this was this morning, this photo. They have poured much more since, and they're really moving along at a good clip. Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know if he'll be there, but.
All right, so this is outside the new gym addition, and it's framing for the steps and the concrete pads outside the exiting areas of the new gym. These were actually poured today. So those of you looked at them now is new concrete. Rooms have been stripped, and tomorrow you could actually walk on them. This is off the roof of the new addition, looking into the courtyard that the new addition created. So if you look at the right photo, that's getting you into like the junior high section. The left photo is that connecting link to the new addition being on the left, existing building being on the right of the left photo.
Oh, wow. That's right. Those doors weren't there last time I was in there.
No.
That's the new egress?
So that's the new connecting link. Connects, this is the new addition, connects to the existing, I think it's the junior high section.
You see the trim, the green trim on the new addition?
The nice thing is inside the building, a lot of times you can see straight through the building from one side down to the end, to the doors at the end. So it's like, it really makes, it's a nice visual. Because you're not claustrophobic, it doesn't close you in, it just keeps it open and wide. That's what I noticed today walking through. You can actually see through the buildings, you can see where you're going, and that it's not hidden.
All right, so that's the portable to the far left of the photo. This is the east roadway that comes through where the buses will, I guess, are the buses going up front?
No, they go up the front, where they go over there.
So this is I'm on the gym addition roof. This comes down once we get the well into the new garage over here. Parent drop off on this side, teacher, staff parking over here, visitor parking as well. And that's that new roadway coming in from the back. Well, these are all drainage structures where they have, pulling in parking. And then the roadway to get you through to the front of the building cuts right through where it used to.
Will we be having a dry roadway there when we're done?
Yes, with all the drainage.
Tremendous amount of drainage in there, so there's.
Look at that picture.
And the amazing fact with all that construction, that beautiful tree that's in front of the mobile is still there. It's still beautiful.
All right, so you got your new fields in the back, soccer, baseball. This is the parent drop-off, teacher, staff parking, visitor parking, a little turnaround to get out. And then you see the roadway. We got a lot of the site lighting is up. They plan in the next 2 weeks to finish the site lighting. There's some more poles that go down over there. And like I said, they're moving along at a good clip. Next week, they'll be doing the entire roadway that goes in front of the temporary business office. So that will be shut down for about 3 weeks while they put that drainage and stuff in. So we'll be entering construction and everyone pretty much from the back, or you'll also be able to park in the front. You just won't be able to traverse from the back to the front.
What about the playground? When do we see anything with the playground?
For the playground here?
Yeah.
Well, that's where these two vehicles are parked. So this is where the playground is gonna be right there, so that won't be until they get the surfacing and that area kind of formed out, and then the, playground structural stuff with footings and posts, so that's not gonna come until they start doing paving and other stuff, I would imagine. It'll be a while before we start seeing the fixtures going in, but
Was there put on hold?
this playground is part of the bond, this part of the addition, but then the other playground is.
That was the one on hold?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the one that's right outside the two lot.
Yeah, so that's gonna be near the end of August, right, those last couple of weeks. And I believe is the last slide of photos before questions and comments, but as far as schedule, I mean, the guys, they've been working, a lot of crews have been working Saturdays, which is big, and we haven't needed to beg for them to be here, which is great, because usually that's a big fight. So they've been coming in on their own accord, working weekends. We have very good manpower during the week, and we have a master schedule for all components, and we're within a couple days either way. So we're in a very good place right now, knock on wood. Still, it's going to come down to the wire. I think every day is going to be utilized. Labor Day weekend likely is going to be utilized, but we're in a very good spot as we sit today, and weather really can't affect us too much, which is a good thing. And as I stated earlier, all the guys have stated that the material they either have it on site or it's at their warehouse, only waiting for a couple of components to come in, all of which are supposed to come in before the end of August. And that concludes the update. Any questions or comments?
I'd just like to comment today, we had a bunch of kids, former students of Springs were outside. Looking at everything. And, why didn't you do this before? What happened when we were there in Springs?
It's not fair.
Yeah, not fair. In a child's world or our students' world, it's great, but I do feel for those students who went through including most of our kids without the wonderful things we're seeing today. Thank you.
One thing you'll see when you walk through today and come back a week later, things really do change a lot, from at this point, the rapid progress starts to really happen. So, looks like there's a whole lot that needs to be done, which there is, but I think progress from week to week, you really start to see there's good things happening. Eric said they're targeting a schedule, which they should be holding to.
No, thank you very much.
Eric, you mentioned driveways are going pretty soon the driveway's blacktop going for roadways?
No, that's going to be the end of August.
Okay.
What I was mentioning was the roadway. We haven't really started construction of the roadway that splits the business office from the existing school. We needed to get the GC that's doing the building to do all of his concrete work in there. Once he's done, which is in the next couple days, Monday, Land Tech, who's the other GC, will start tearing up that existing roadway, putting the drainage in. They'll need about 3 weeks, and I would imagine they're going to pave it. It's going to probably be about 3 or 4 days to pave it, but that will all happen within the same week, which will be the end of August.
I know we were running conduits out there, right, for the cameras and all that?
Mm-hmm.
So we decided to find a difference about an extra line. We talked about it, I believe, when last month. We're running one conduit line down the whole way, one of the cameras. I wanted to find out what it was supposed to be, an additional one in the same line.
Okay.
I think someone said there were 2 conduits. Was that you, Jim?
Well, no, the contract said
Conduits,
conduits.
like conduits are there, but there's not an extra line.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so it's 2 conduits, you want two separate conduits?
Right.
Not one conduit.
Right.
But I think the contract said 1 conduit, but the word is conduits. So I want to see if we're getting 1 or 2. I like having that, the one in there.
I'll confirm it. And, the hard part of that is digging.
Yeah, the hard part is
So
digging.
the hole's going to be dug to throw in some more plastic. Maybe they would just do it because they like springs. So
Well, the
I'll
contract
talk.
says conduits. So the way it's kind of weird wording in it.
Between the 2 of us, we'll have an answer tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Eric, I think you being here on the premise now because of the personnel change, at least for the next week to 2 weeks? You think that's going to help us towards keeping us?
That's a major benefit.
You think
I'm
so?
just kidding. That was a joke. Strike that.
Yeah, she started taking turn carrying along.
Comes at the end of the project, it's all done, look what a great job I did.
I came in Monday, it was my first full day out here, which was yesterday. And the project was in a good place when I got here. So it was progressing, there wasn't a lot of issues, and that's what I was hearing from afar, but it was nice to put my own eyes on it for a couple of days. I'm gonna be out here till Friday at a minimum. The replacement guy that's coming in, he's been with Parkeys for 6 years. He's a big pusher. Couldn't have worked out more perfect for the position that this project is in and the individual that we have available to come in. So I think we're in a very good spot here. Other questions or comments?
Are we going over these changes?
Yeah, that's
Yes, Jim Wade is here for those.
Very good.
All right,
Thank
thank you.
So we have, I believe, 2 or 3 change orders.
Three. You want to start with fencing?
So with the fencing, I believe.
2 options.
Yeah, the fence, you have split rail option, and the chain link all the way around. So I think the pricing is sent
Do you
over.
need the hard copies? I have hard copies.
Yeah, so
The board has
field
copies as
visit.
well.
Okay, so-
Yeah, I knew that would be well.
Deb, do you need a set of copies?
All right, so, so I guess this was a request, obviously, from the district to get a fence that was more natural looking, and not just the regular chain link discussion before meetings, I recall. So the options that we had were for the split rail fence, 4 foot high, install 4 foot high.
Yeah, my question on this, if you read it,
There we go. That,
I got a question on it, and this one. I know we looked at both doing a vinyl fence, chain link fence around the property, or possibly doing a split rail fence on the scenic part to come up to the parking lot.
Right.
But my question I had was, we're moving 1,150 feet, and we're installing 1,140 feet. So what 1,100 feet are we removing? 1,151 feet we're removing of chain link.
okay.
Not construction chain link, existing chain link. And we're replacing it with the same amount of lineal footage. So
Right,
what is the
that would
reason
be,
for that?
the chain link that's being removed is chain link that's partially damaged or deteriorated. I'm not specifically sure.
Yeah, that's, it's almost like we're taking everything out, the old stuff out.
Right, because
Is
it's
it
just,
dilapidated or is it shot?
it's compromised, there might be openings, and it might just not tie in well with the new chain link where it continues. So in looking at and evaluating the perimeter fencing or areas where there.
Well, because I can't figure the math out. I can't do the math when you're taking out 1,100 feet, and we increase the size of the property,
Right.
and we'll put in 1,100 feet.
Again, I guess it wasn't that we're enclosing the entire perimeter of the property, I think we're doing it along the roadway or around the fields. I don't know specifics of that, that was all part of John Longo's
Right, yeah,
design,
yeah.
so I know when he gave us pricing for whatever. was
Yeah, I know,
requested.
yeah, so that wasn't sure that that's what we were doing.
If we can highlight on the map, site plan, show you exactly what's being removed and reinstalled and what's gonna be.
Yeah, because that was vehicles could be on the field, not necessarily here.
Right, now that's all covered, anything that's protecting the roadway and those fields has fencing, new fencing as opposed to never existed before, but in the case where we're taking down old fence and putting it back new, that would be something I need to look at specifically on the plan and highlight it and see it and show you where that is happening, and then where that ties into existing that keeps the property secure, and that I'd have to identify as well.
My argument is, if we're not doing, if the fence is out there, it's okay, and we're not keeping deer out with that fence, why would we replace it?
Right, yeah. I mean, if it doesn't tie into the exact new line, it might be something that we can work with. So I thought maybe we'd get a chance to talk to John about this evening, is he available this evening?
I
guess
he
we're
was
not-
looking for an invite, but I don't think he got it.
Oh, no. Is there,
Can
we,
Can he invite, Matt invite John Longo?
Yeah, we have to.
He's not, I mean, he's waiting for it now, he's still, he can send him.
What are you going to buy this for? We like to get it by the beginning of the year, but we also like to clarify the answers. We don't have answers tonight to get back to us by next week. We have not meeting what, August 9th?
August 9th?
August
August
9th.
9th is our next meeting,
Okay.
which gives ample time to give it a plan of what we're doing.
If he could, you
Sorry
know,
about
do that
We
map.
talked about the
that
chain link
shows-
too, and it's like, it doesn't make sense to me. That way.
Derek,
Yes.
maybe you can take some pictures of the existing fence to see what it really looks like, since we really can't go out there.
Sure. I'll work with Jim to highlight a plan and give more specifics to it.
Derek, can you give us the real footage of the split rail fence we were talking about? Because this whole field's changed, we don't know how much split rail we're really looking at.
Yeah, no, I'll break it out.
Yeah, we know what we
Each
need.
different component.
Yeah.
So I'll break it out, existing, new, split rail, metal.
Right, what part of split rail,
Yeah,
yeah.
and if we could see like a big picture of the field and then show where the split rail, where we would do the split rail and then where we would do the chain link.
Sure.
Just
We'll
kind
just
of,
do it different colors, so.
yeah, just so we can
jumps out.
see, like,
No problem.
we have an idea, but we could see it would be good.
And Derek, I asked the question, I was correct, I just want to make sure I'm correct. We can't go out to bid because it's part of the contract, right? So this couldn't go out to bid to local fence companies, you have to go through the whole bid process, correct? On this fencing?
We're not in a rush.
Well, you
We're
would,
not in a rush.
you would want to check with your purchasing agent, but if it's under 35,000, you could get 3 quotes, is my understanding of it. Or you could bid it, or if a contractor holds a contract like a BOCES or a Ed Data, you could purchase off of that as well.
You can still use it part of the capital improvement?
Usually that $35,000 threshold, 3 prices, as long as it's under that amount, most districts proceed.
Because we're right on the fence of it, that's why I was asking that.
Actually, if it's over 20,000, you have to bid it. Under 20, you do not bid.
Over 20, you have to bid it? Over 20, not 35.
Over 35, it's now a public works contract.
So what's the fall between 20 and 35?
3 days.
You have to bid it.
You have to bid it with 3 separate bids, not in, or does that have to be posted and all that?
Yeah, then you have to go through, all same thing with RFP, you still have to.
You still have to go through all that.
RFP doesn't have the same legal requirements as a bid does.
A lot of times work like that specific to like a fence or landscaping stuff, county contracts have
Yeah,
that.
usually you piggyback off of one of those other contracts.
Right,
So you
where
avoid all that.
in that case, the bidding has already been worked out.
Correct.
And then you go to the contractors that have the qualified bid for
Right.
that, direct through them, and then it makes the process go a little smoother that way or quicker in a way.
Okay, so I think we definitely have some more questions, things we want to know about the fence before we approve anything.
The next one was the library soundproofing, which the board already approved in concept, but tonight they will actually approve it.
Okay.
But do you have any questions? I know, Tim, you saw the actual renovation to soundproof the library to the central
Well,
office.
they just described it to me, I didn't have, because it's all faded right now.
Oh,
so I
Right now, it's
can't
all,
actually see it. The way they described it to me is that the construction of a wall that normally you would expect only run to a certain level, and then in order to make that space an office, they just put a temporary, like, wall that really didn't have any of the structural needs or the acoustic needs to really close all of those spaces. So all the sound goes up and it goes right through there. That's why. So what they're proposing is to make that a solid wall. like you see.
So they have walls with specific insulation, specific sheetrock, so you get a sound transmission coefficient of 56 or better. 56 is, really good rating without having to go way overboard, like if it was, specific for very loud activities or conversation stuff in library and office. isn't like you have gymnasium next to your space or have music nearby, but not right on top of it.
I like hearing the music in my office.
That's why you wear the little earphones. So yeah, this is the proposal and what was discussed many months ago about the need for this and what we felt the cost would be, or right in line with what we anticipated as far as not only the wall between the library and what would be Mr. Henry's office, but also superintendent's office and other offices that didn't go fully up to the deck where that need is going to be, the privacy is needed, especially in those areas. So this, every wall that we identified beyond just the library wall has been accounted for, so that whole area will have the proper walls that are designed with the acoustic qualities and properties to minimize any sound transmission, conversation.
Yeah, and I remember, we thought I could get this credit. I remember when we talked to this back in May, the price was a little bit higher than this, than it actually came into.
Right.
Which is pretty good considering where we are now with the two.
I think initially in everyone's mind, it was just really that one library wall, and then that, when I think I gave my number, it was kind of a sticker shock thing, but then it became more than just that wall. I think that's where the number kind of got to where it became, so. And the good thing is the work that was being done in there already anticipated, ceiling removal and replacement. So in certain areas, we just added to that, maybe a little additional insulation to prevent sound from traveling over a wall and getting caught up in the other side of the wall. If you could lay insulation out over a certain area, it cuts down as well. So we can only select a few areas where we didn't have to extend the sheetrock to the ceiling. The stud walls went up to give it stability, but we were able to minimize or cut down the sound by laying insulation on the ceiling tiles in certain areas. But for the most part, everything has a full wall going to the deck that's fully sheetrocked and insulation that's got acoustic properties and sheetrock as well.
The last item was the lifts.
Right.
One lift has electrical, and the other lift doesn't have electrical.
The lifts
has some questions.
The lift says were designed in the process when we were doing the architectural work and locating and placing a lift over by the gym stage and by the admin office. At the time, we had an electrical designer we were working with and anticipated that those would be called portable lifts, like one would be at the stage by the gym, and then that could be moved around into the auditorium, into the office area. This was the design, that's how things that we've done in the past, but that wasn't the intent. He initially thought it was that. He left, we brought a new electrical designer to pick up where he left off, and I don't think there was information that was left to our new designer to pick up on that. I didn't pick up on the fact that neither of them had the right lift to begin with. So we had electric as if you were plugging in a mobile lift, which we've done in stages and auditoriums and in gymnasiums. But this is a fixed lift. This lift doesn't move from area to area. It needs permanent power. It needs disconnects so that you can service the elevator, so it gets a little more involved. Instead of just providing a 120 volt outlet, you need to have actual power that can be disconnected and terminated, and things that control it, because it is not an elevator, but it falls under a different category of regulations in the National Electric Code. So there was an instance where there was lack of communication, lack of coordination on our behalf, where it just kind of transitioned from one designer to another, and in my coordination and review, never picked up on the fact that the electric that was necessary for a permanent lift wasn't being provided. So the one outlet that's there doesn't support the equipment that's needed or the specifications of the equipment. So the proposal that the electrician has given us is for providing at 2 locations the power that is necessary for 2 permanent lifts.
And what is the requirements needed compared to a regular, the portable lifts are 110 out? What's required for the 2 other ones that are permanent? How much more difference is it?
Those are
what do you have to do differently? You already have conduit going to them, right?
You have conduit going to a disconnect switch, which has more line voltage coming to it from a panel, a dedicated circuit. There's some communication, I guess, some connection to the phone system in case somebody has to make a call. I mean, if they get stuck, they have to really call the office. If their elevator doesn't get to the level, they're stuck there, they need to.
Talk about fall for less, right?
Yeah,
Fall for elevator.
it falls
I
into a
mean, this is a,
ultimate category of things, so.
but you had it for one, but not the other.
We had plug-in power for both, but not the power that's needed
So how
for,
did they get into the other one? He's only charged, we have two of them being charged for one.
we have two, well, one mobile lift would have been utilized from one location, we need to move it to the other location. I don't know where that came from.
And we were notified about that, right? We were notified that it was changed, it was automatically changed, and
No, yeah, this was
Yeah.
during the preliminary design phase where we're getting everyone together and our design teams to kind of, okay, what's happening in each of these areas. And at that time, prior to my involvement with the project, there was discussions as to what was needed at the admin offices and what was going to be needed at the stage in order to provide handicap accessibility. In our office, I guess certain, electricians or designers have seen in certain instances where we have a stage, we just use this mobile lift concept. But that was never going to work.
were we notified that it was changed over to that we were gonna have a mobile originally?
No, I think there was always, I can only assume that in the initial conversations in the preliminary design and the scoping, that there was going to be a fixed lift at each location.
I don't think
It was
so.
going to be a fixed lift. I didn't think we were having a mobile lift.
No,
I was saying, there was never a discussion that you presented to us, that there was a discussion happening within our office amongst the design team in the early stages as to what was needed. I'm saying the electrician that was doing the work was thinking it was something completely different than what the architectural team was thinking, so it was a lack of communication and coordination.
Leaving us a $10,000 additional bill.
And 5,000
Yeah.
per location, yes.
But that's, what does $10,000 give us for one unit compared to a plug and outlet? What does really entail to do
This is
that?
for both units. This is
No,
5,000 for each one. Even though it just says for chairlift and area A,
It says
it
for
makes
one.
it sound like it's one. But you're saying
For
this is
two.
for both.
That's for 2 units.
Right.
It
Okay.
doesn't say that, though. It says for one, right?
They're both in the same area.
Well,
Well, one,
No, one's up by the main office and
No,
one's
one's by the main office and
one's in the
one's
United
on.
States, so two different locations.
Area A.
is the main office.
Back.
But this doesn't say about the one for at the gym, then. It's
Right.
just, this is just mentioning one.
Yeah, I thought this was for, I was,
So we're gonna get a second bill for the second one that they do?
So let's figure out questions regarding this one then.
And, you
we'll
know,
put this
and,
with the fence questions.
yeah, it's also, responsibility of the
It sounds
design
like it's
team.
one. If it's two, then what does that mean? And it's not,
We,
you know.
and I don't compare it up, but to me, the responsibility of the design team, design a system, to put it out to bid, to make sure it's fully equipped, to make sure it operates. And if you put a lift in, you change the design phase, you have to assume the power for it to get to it. And it's not, it's this one here, it's 10,000 there, it's 20,000, I'm watching the playground disappear every day. We got, and I said, $250,000 extra for a $1.5 million septic system, that we couldn't do 2 extra test holes, that always been, kind of gets me a little upset. Luckily we got grants, luckily we were able to get the money, it's still our money, it was grant from taxpayers' money. It wasn't the government saying, hey, by the way, I have every money in my pocket, we're paying taxes on it. So it's just a chain of events that sometimes I wonder about. And I heard there's another change order coming into an electric line, which is for the dampers for the venting system. And we haven't gotten yet, we're at a tune of almost
that we're looking into,
$20,000.
and, well, that, I don't know where that whole conversation originated, I believe it was at a job meeting, but there's a contractor explaining something that he did not involve us in the conversation of it, just spouting out some numbers without any consideration of us to kind of say, hey, wait a second, do you understand the scope of work that you're talking about? Which he clearly doesn't. We have a meeting with him this Thursday to kind of figure out where that's all coming from, but at this point, I don't have enough information to speak to.
So a conversation like that, then I get a conversation like this, of, oh, by the way, we thought you were doing one, we're doing another one, and it's $10,000 for you to pay. The guy's got a $1.5 million project here, whatever it is, but it's like You should ask the question,
Well, I
mobile.
explained, it was an oversight on our part, but this would have been something that the contractor would have built in, it was number if the design was.
Does it-
Well, then maybe our bond actually would have been a little bit more to cover
Right.
that. So that's where that comes out. I mean, we're having to try to really squeeze out all the money we can to pay for these things. And yes, of course, you would have that expense either way, but you would have known about that ahead of time. We would have planned for it.
And we would
So
have,
it's
we
very
could have,
unfortunate for this, and, to be popping up now, and it seems like 10,000, not much, but every 10,000, every 35, it started popping up. And, this was, a lack of communication there, unfortunately. So,
And so this project like this involves a lot of communication and coordination, and a lot of it was done, and unfortunately, I take full responsibility for the miss of this. If you want to bring that up to, someone above my level, certainly, have that conversation. But, like I said, there was certain things that you have total control over and take pride and responsibility in delivering a product that's as good as this one, and there are going to be steps along the way that become.
I appreciate that, Jim. I
No,
think
no, no,
if we want to pursue this, I think we should talk to Roger.
oh, yeah, definitely, I'm not making the big deal. Well,
I appreciate your honesty about it. If it's something we can, if we really feel strong about it, we can also, we
Right.
can get Roger to come and talk.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mhm.
but also if this says, if you're saying it's 2 areas, but this says area A.
Well, that I have to verify
then I
where,
think we need
so
to-
the project is covering both areas.
Because there's
And we have to get a breakdown of materials, so we want to make sure.
phase 2 is the price, I got, one for 10,000, and then right behind it, another one, price and sheet number 2. I'm sure they'll explain it to me. 6760, is that part of the 10,000?
We need more information.
Well, no, the resolution, it has just this amount, so it doesn't matter what this is, the resolution in the front, that's got.
The resolution's in the front, but if we took the resolution, Bob, and voted on the front one, what is the second page?
Second page is
So the
support for the
66,
two
that
line
was
items
the,
on the first page.
It's just
If you
support
look,
of,
the first line item, 6677,
that's what I'm asking.
56 is supported on page sheet 2.
Right.
And then the 2346 on sheet 2 is the second line of sheet 1.
Okay, I got it. Follow it.
The one resolution, Mike, that you have that has to go under finance is definitely the acoustic for the library. I think that's the only thing we can actually ask the board to vote on tonight. Everything else has to wait till the night, okay? And that was not on the agenda, so it's a walk-on resolution that I believe you have for the library. Okay.
The acoustics,
Yeah, we are doing that. Yeah.
Okay.
the acoustics were
So-
passive acoustics.
Yeah.
So again, Jim, we appreciate
Yeah, thank you.
you sharing that information with us and how that kind of evolved, and we'll definitely talk about how we're going to resolve that.
Thank you.
Derek, I have a quick question. With those tiles in the humidity issue, and you said they're going to bring in some dehumidifiers, is that what they were going to do?
Correct.
Okay, so they're just going to bring stuff that they have from other sites,
They're renting it
they're renting it
at their cost.
at their cost. So like, example like that is kind of like, it's very arbitrary, like, they didn't come to us with a bill for that, they're just going to eat that. But,
Oh, they have this,
so it's just sometimes it gets a little confusing, but I appreciate that they're going to eat that.
that doesn't, there's a lot of conversations that get it to that point.
Right.
So there's a lot of, with VBS and Parkeys, we're fighting with the contractors on behalf of Springs
Exactly.
and every other
Yeah, we
client of
appreciate
ours, day in, day out. Sometimes there's justifications to change orders, sometimes we feel there's not, and we always try to look at the best interest of the client. We were able to negotiate them getting those units on their own dime.
That's great. That's great. So something like that, that's the sort of stuff we
And
really
you'd be
appreciate.
surprised, probably should keep a running list of that, but that happens a lot throughout the course of one of these projects, and it's very seldom you see a small piece of the change orders come to the board. A lot of times, we're able to find notes that, maybe there's a little gray area, but we defend that gray area very tough and force whatever we can on the contractors.
I appreciate that.
So maybe that's a conversation we should be having with our project manager on these change orders. You know, and maybe not this meeting, if there's one session, whatever. But being Derek works for us, directly as our project manager, might be our best connected is going to him talking about the fence, about the electrical bills, explain his feelings about it. Then we go to BBS and get our point of, we're not fighting our own battle.
Collectively, I think on the two that are question mark tonight, we'll definitely work together in the next few days and provide ample detail, so there's no confusion with it.
The fencing has been just initial discussions and getting the pricing out worked out, and this is just something we've been working through the process, and we'll continue on the rest of this week.
I just wasn't clear, maybe it's like a statement, okay. When we get a change order, Mike, does that come through Parkes or does it come through BBS?
I get it from BBS.
BBS. So maybe we should be contact Parkes beforehand and talk about it?
We do get involved with them as well, so they'll be sent to us. Our estimating department will check numbers, not necessarily against scope, but they'll check if you're getting fair market value.
Right. Then they also come back to the project manager to see that, like this one here with the electric, you know, just an example, you know, what work really had, because what happens is, a project like this is not the guy in the field writing down his own invoices.
Mm-hmm.
It's a girl in the office who's looking to an estimated cost of things, that's what she's working off of. But if the change order like this, it's a matter of running a conduit line for 229 or 129, it's not much conduit size different. A shut-off switch is a little bit different, but I'll justify it, I don't know. And I'm not saying most people do the accountant part of it, don't understand that part of the building.
Sure.
So it's referring back to the project manager, which was Jim, and now it's your new guy, or you. Does it work that way to your company?
Well, we have project managers, site supers, and we have an estimating department too. So it's a collaboration of them. Usually the pricing, once the scope's identified and agreed upon, and there's a price attached to it, our estimating department will make sure that that price is in line with current market values associated with that scope. They're not checking if that scope is justified, usually, but with these, there's a lot of dialogue meetings typically that go into these. And I think in a day or two, we could probably provide a lot more clarity that would give you peace of mind related to them. And I think by the end of the week, we could share that with the district.
If I could get that Friday, so they can have for the weekend to look at, and then
What's today? We'll learn.
Tuesday.
No, the next day they go 9 o'clock.
Yeah, but this way you have it before the 9th of August, so you can make a decision.
Yeah, that's 3 weeks.
I think we could, it shouldn't be a problem by Friday.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Very much for being here. Appreciate your.
Thanks for having us.
Updates as
See you
always.
in the morning.
See you in the morning. I would just sleep in the trailer, is that all right? Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, guys. I'm gonna take one of the personnel from you, Carrie, if you don't mind, okay?
Yeah, it'd be a little weird.
So, and then I'll turn it back over to you for the rest of personnel. So we unfortunately have a resignation from Mrs. Delaglio, our Director of Human Resources and People Personnel Services, who started her career at Spring School in July of 2014. Within 6 months from being appointed director, the board appointed her Director of Human Resources as well as Director of Special Ed. And although the functional academics program was already established here at Springs, she took the program to a whole new level by ensuring that our students were able to transition to Southampton High School, and they were prepared for that program. And it's one of the things that really impressed me when looking at Spring School to be the next superintendent was the level of services for students with severe and significant disabilities in their home school district with their peers. That can't be more important, especially the distance that children have to travel to the next program after one of these. So you embrace that concept and you brought it to a whole new level. Kerry also had an impact on bringing various reading programs, because as students with disabilities present so differently and they learn differently, you have to often reinvent reading programs to meet those children's needs. She would research those latest programs and provide professional development, including some severe dyslexic learning disabilities. So she's credited with doing that. She also developed a wonderful team of related service personnel. Again, on the east end of Long Island is not easy to find, and we have our own in-house occupational therapists on staff, very rare for our school district, 2 speech therapists, outside OT, outside PT, to bring it all together and bring it home for our students with disabilities. So again, an incredible team. You were also instrumental in bringing therapeutic crisis intervention training to Springs, because it was in East Hampton. So of course, when she came here after teaching in East Hampton, she brought the program with her. She was trained herself, and then she also turned one of our teachers, Mr. Calavito, in being one of those trainers. So we're fortunate to have somebody in-house and not have to go outside for that. You encourage other school districts to bring their kids here. That's one way districts can keep programs for their own children, is by encouraging other districts to send children here rather than, again, travel to BOCES, which the closest place is West Hampton Beach, which is still a rough for a special needs student. She's active in all the district activities, turkey trot, idiom contest, staff basketball games. We should try to find some of these pictures and do a slideshow.
Please don't.
Special ed prom, special ed Olympics, from one end to the other, she's been actively involved. Also involved in her organization for human resources, which, you know, she was just starting to really get her feet wet, and now has to lead that organization. This year, again, we've all had our jobs to do. We divided and conquered when it came to COVID. She was in charge of tracking our staff, and that meant 24/7. Where were you yesterday? Where did you eat lunch? Yes, I need to know how long you were in that classroom. She asked all the right questions in a timely, efficient manner in order to keep our staff and schools safe. Literally, we were on the phone Sunday nights trying to make sure that the right people came back to work, the right people stayed home. So we really appreciated your efforts on that. We couldn't have done it if we all had to do the same job. We had to divide and conquer, and that was your responsibility. You did it well. We wish you and your family only the best in your new endeavor, and come back and visit us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. No, I couldn't have done it without, and there were, Ms. Lamont is here and MJ's here, who I think MJ might have started life skills way back when, and keeping the kids here because our passion are the kids and the love and sharing love, and that's how our kids grow. And you have to have a deep passion for our students and the love for them to help them be successful academically. So I really was blessed to come to such a great team that goes above and beyond every day. And I will miss our kids. I will miss our staff, and best of luck to all of you. And, you know, there's still people knocking in. I know you're all going to be calling me, so. But I love you all, and I'll keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and for, you know, making your schedule work for us as you to finish up over the summer. And we really appreciate that, and wish you guys all the best on your big adventure.
Thank you. So off to personnel.
Yes.
Do you want to do, do you want to do Barbara first, sorry.
The resolution.
Carried. Yes. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby accepts the resignation of Carrie Delaglio, Director of Human Resources and Pupil Personnel Services, effective at the end of the business day, August 31st, 2021, and further authorizes Ms. Delaglio to be paid for up to 20 unused vacation days upon her resignation. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now you're official.
So so I will go on with my job. Personnel is the resignation of Nicole Forsberg. We wish her the best with her new baby. Is it okay?
Yeah.
The baby girl. And hopefully, I think she might be working for someone else at the table, but, so I'm sure we will see her. C is a leave of absence for employee number 2198. D is all of our fabulous teachers stepping up for curriculum writing this summer.
Could I ask
Some
you a question about
are
that?
on there twice.
I know, and some are 3 times, so.
And because they're in 2 or 3 committees. Okay, so they are going to be doing 30 to 45 hours.
Wow, that's a lot. You know, again, I look at these.
Or, no, they won't be?
No, 15 hours total.
15 hours total? Okay, it's not per committee, okay.
They're breaking up their time.
Even then, I just need a little bit more information.
Sure.
We're looking at 50, even though some people are doing more than one.
Total 40.
Total
I think
of
it's 40.
750 hours, it looks like. That's a total of $37,000 for curriculum development. I just need a little bit more information about what are they actually writing during this summer? And is this, we've always done this for this amount of money? Is there other ways to do this curriculum work besides farming it out over the summer? It just seems like a lot of money to do this. I know it comes through a grant, but at the same time, who reviews these curriculums? Who, takes the time to helps train teachers to do this writing? Is there a format they use? I just would need to know more information before I can approve something like this. It's a lot of money, but not a lot of information.
Well, as you said, some names are on here twice. If you just did count to the list and multiply, that's not going to be correct.
I think Christine said there's 40 staff members involved.
But still, you're looking at over 25,000.
40 staff members, you said?
41 is what I counted for $30,000, and we did put it in the ESSA funding. Now, remember, the ESSA funding is for only 2 years. They strongly recommend professional development because of the gaps that our students might have seen and because of trying to align and not be repetitive. So in social studies and English, if there's a way for them to come together and do a project-based learning, that's what we want to see from our students. So it is a different way of thinking, correct me? And you gave a format. There are clear expectations. Christine and Josh will be reviewing them themselves.
Are they like working in groups?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a whole list that I can share with you. If you
That'd be
want to do
great.
that digitally, and you can see the specifics of
Can you
it.
share?
I
I'd
understand.
like this, it's a lot of money and.
Well,
Share it with the entire
I
board.
will.
Do you want to table it?
Table?
Yeah.
Table it and take a look at it.
Starting this summer, are they not?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
so.
you need to get approval on approval tonight.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stand in the way of proving it, I just need to know, and then, for me especially, is assessing how effective it is. Because if we're going to be spending this kind of money every year to do this kind of writing, then I'd like.
This isn't every year. I mean, this is something we've talked about that it needs addressing for a long time, that how are we going to be addressing our curriculum? And this summer, to me, it sounds like this summer is the push for that.
I know, but at the same time, is this the best way to do that? I don't know. I'm just questioning that just farm out money to different people doing different things. I just need to make sure there's a good format or framework that this is
Pat,
about.
can you hit cancel? Can you just hit that cancel?
I
Thank
just,
you.
I trust you that there is, I've never seen it, I've never heard people talk about it. So I just had questions about, is this an effective way to do the kind of work we've been talking about over these past years?
Well, I think it's something new that we're doing. So you're saying this hasn't been talked about before. This is it, like, this is happening now for the first time.
So if it was new and it was happening for the first time, it'd be nice to have more information about it.
Now, Christine, you said you have the information with you?
Yeah, I have it here.
Do you want to go over that tonight? If you try to get a decision.
Give it to Julia, make it.
Well, I think this is
I
something.
have all the committees. I don't have all the templates with me or anything, but I have all the committees and who's signed up for what and the focus committees. Different types of work for different committees.
So how are these teachers selected to do their curriculum? Is it because they sign up and want to do it?
Yes, because we want agency, we want the teachers to have agency over it. So,
Okay, so say if I have a non-tenured teacher who signs up for curriculum writing, who's been here just for a couple of years, would I be able to do that curriculum writing?
Correct, at that grade level, yes, if it's grade level curriculum writing, correct.
They're in a group.
Yeah,
They're
nobody's writing on their own, everybody's in some sort of a group. We wanted it to be collaborative. We
Do they come
wanted,
back to the school to do that? I mean, there's no place to come and do that here, is there?
well, the SYA building, we've offered the SYA building after summer school hours to any group that wants to work together collaboratively in person, and then they can also do it virtually. But Josh and I will also be involved in these sessions, so.
That's great. I mean, these are good things that I didn't know
Yeah,
about.
okay, and I can, if you want more of a proposal of sorts, I can absolutely do that.
And I think some of the groups too that you'll see, Tim, are what we started previously with the literacy committee and what they shared with you to kind of make sure that that curriculum's getting within the grade levels. The math that we started with Diane Koloff 2 years ago before COVID, she's coming back. So
Something
she's
got
going to
interrupted.
continue with Next Gen and aligning our
Again,
curriculum with
those are all
Next Gen
things I'm
standards.
listening that I need to hear, because again, my concern is doing all this work and then it goes nowhere. And that to me is the key, is that if you're going to do this kind of work, because it is expensive work, you're paying top dollar for this to get done, that it actually gets done and then it's put in place and then there's a way to assess it and see how effective it is.
One of the things that we'll talk about at the workshop meeting is this concept of coordinators for different departments. So we talked about Sean Knight coordinating this team so that we're not duplicating, but rather that we're aligning it. So you are going to see a proposal from Ms. Cleary, discussion at the workshop meeting, and then recommendations in late August for coordinators. We already have literacy coordinators. We're looking at math coordinators, we're looking at coordinator, we're looking at science. Very important that there be somebody to order all these science kits and make sure that we have the developmental level when it comes to robotics, that we're not all over the place and tied all together. So this is kind of the preliminary work, but then there will be a coordinator that says, okay, you put this together, are you now implementing it? Or what else do you need in order to implement it? Is it supplies and materials, or is it further professional development? For STEAM, Sean said, I need somebody to give me a roadmap. What's been done already out there with STEAM? We don't have to reinvent the wheel. He met with Angela. He was very happy. In fact, Angela told him, I'm doing the East End in phys ed. We don't want districts to be on their own for phys ed. We want them to be coordinated because they will go up to the high school. So Teachers Peconic is actually coordinating the PE. So you don't see PE teachers on here because they're going to be working with Teachers Peconic.
What would have been helpful if maybe if a teacher was doing multiple ones, and you would put one name and put how many multiple ones they're doing? That would have been helpful.
Yeah, I didn't put this, okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of coaches on there.
Are they?
Yeah.
The PE teachers are listed as doing.
Yeah, they're on here as a group. They're in their own, like I said, there is grade level planning, and then there's also department planning. So that would be an example of department planning. And that's because there are new standards coming up for phys ed. But if you want this fleshed out a little bit more, I wasn't told that that was a need, but I can absolutely do that. This is not a one and done. This is the beginning of a lot of different sort of multi-pronged curriculum writing work that we've been talking about for a while now. So we thought it would be, and of course time was of the essence because summer's only as long as it is, to get people sort of rolling with this and talking and collaborating and working on this stuff. So while there is a plan, it's the beginning of that plan, and then we'd like to see this as part of a longer, bigger vision.
Well, it's just, it's a lot of time. When you think about it, 15 hours, you go, oh, that's not, but, we're talking about at least 3 days of really focused work.
Sure.
And I have concerns that over the summer that can get done. So, that's all.
A lot of this work would generally be done during the school year, and we'd be paying for substitute teachers.
Right.
So this is sort of like one of those situations where, do we front load it and do it over the summer?
It makes me feel better that you're going to be involved in this.
Of course.
And we were told that we have to have notes and products. And one of the things that is lacking right now on our website, if you look at curriculum on our website, it's not really there. So we'll be able to develop some great things that will help the whole school. And I think the teachers on board are really excited to be able to give product to the boards, to the
So
community.
maybe, Barbara, what I suggest is go ahead and go forward with this, but maybe in the fall, sometime later in the fall, we get a report back from Christine and Josh about what happened and what the effect, what was the product that was.
Well, yeah, I think we
And I have a lot of ideas too on how curriculum writing works. It's a long, you can't write a curriculum in 15 hours, right? But you can get the framework established. And from there, if you get a year-long, even a half-year-long framework established in that time period, then teachers can dig in and do the dirty work of unit creation, standard alignment within that, and kind of start banging out those. Once they're in it and trying the thing, you figure out what does, what doesn't work. Creating that collaborative piece during the school year is the challenge, right?
Yeah.
So that's where the summer hours come in, I think. At
And
least to get the structures there, in which they work.
And our staff has started that creativity and structure for 1 or 2 units, and then we got interrupted with COVID. So I think giving them this time to jumpstart it and have solid.
Right, as long as there's a framework and a template and that's fine, that's all.
Yeah, so I'd like to see that when you get the template together, I like that in public, not just in the board members, because we are spending $200 million, whatever, again, we taxpayers' money. That's how we're gonna spend the money, how we justifying 40 staff members, which I know you understand, you said, well, we don't bring substitutes in, but 3 hours of a $50 an hour pays for 1 substitute. So we're doing 15 hours.
You can get them, you can find them.
You can put that, I'm just saying, so that's not a justifiable answer to me,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Because substitute teachers 150 for certified. So that's, so like Tim said, explain to me what you want to do. I know you're doing the right thing, but I think we have to explain what we're doing here. It'd be nice to see a monthly update on this, because you're doing it over the summer. And summer's short, we're trying to get the school back together again by the September meeting of what the progress was, what got accomplished, and then we can go from there. As the administrative team and you, and see if this program is working, and which we
Or
should
or
like
maybe
to
if
do.
they couldn't get it finished over the summer, if you extended it after hours during the school year, that money's still there. If they decided to get together in September or October after school hours, that money would still be available for them to do that kind of work. Because we are,
So is it that it's happening in the summer that's
Well,
the issue, or is it
not so much
the
as
type
that-
of work that's being done?
the kind of work during the summer to get all these people together, it seems to me, I'm just speaking from my own
Yeah,
experience. It's tough. People go on vacation, people are traveling here. You say, oh, I want to get us 4 together to talk about it, and only 3 show up. And it is somewhat problematic as well as doing it during the school year. But again, if this kind of grant money is available and you have the opportunity, say in September or October.
So that everybody who's not available in the summer can benefit from it.
Exactly, could
Right.
benefit from it, because it seems to me the magic of it is getting people together to talk about it, having a framework to work through the process. And sometimes the summer, I think, oh, teachers are off, but lots of times teachers aren't off in the summer. They're traveling or they're doing other jobs. And to get those people together for that amount of time in the summer can be problematic sometimes, from my own experience.
Right, which is why it's preliminary work that would extend into the school
Yeah.
year, and people
I'm
would be
saying
invited into that
If it didn't
conversation.
get finished in the
Sure.
summer, then maybe there would be an opportunity just to extend it.
Gotcha.
Because this money would be available for after hours just as well as it would be in the summer, I would think.
So I guess the people who aren't available after hours during the school year then, so that would be, it might propose the same problem, so we'd have to figure that out. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
The best time to do it is during the school day, you have a captive one,
Yeah.
but the problem is getting substitutes.
And
Sometimes
I know, we have
teach that class.
Who will take care of it,
Right.
right?
But if we do it during the school year, if we do it during the school day, other than the substitute, just look at it again. The teachers are getting paid, they're not gonna get the extra 100.
No, they're not.
They're not gonna get, they're not gonna get the 30,000, but that's not gonna say, it's $30,000 paid for substitute. They're not gonna do that. We can't take that money for a substitute. But it'll be the after hours of during the school year, July 13th. Have you started this program yet?
Have we started this?
You
one?
want
No,
this whole
not
thing?
yet.
No, not yet, so you have 1 month.
This is the finalized list.
That's
just for
all.
tonight,
You have
yeah,
1
so-
month to get food tonight, to get the schedule, you haven't got a schedule together, the staff yet, have you?
No, they're going to schedule it amongst their groups. There's, like I said, there's 12 different committees.
Right.
So each committee will
Well, to
work
get the food,
together to, yes, schedule themselves.
So can you explain to us maybe a little bit how you envision this working with the amount, I mean, what's the plan for people of a certain curriculum getting together? We approve this, how do you see that playing out over the summer? What's the plan?
I think it's going to look different for different committees, like several committees that I've spoken to. Some do want to meet in person and come after summer school and meet here, and some will meet virtually, and I will be included in those virtual meetings and sort of facilitate. And then they will log their hours, they will report and have a nice report on what they've been doing and what they're working on and why they've chosen to work on that particular aspect. We try, just like we differentiate instruction for the kids, we wanted to differentiate professional development for the teachers because different grade levels are at different places with different things, curriculum-wise. So I saw it as an opportunity, or I guess we all did, saw it as an opportunity to take advantage of ample time in the summer. And I know what you're saying, it might not be completely equitable because of people's availability. But again, as a preliminary, rolling into the school year and then bringing everybody in at some point, at least there's a start, or at least there's some progress being made to things that were already started maybe a year ago or two. I don't see it as anybody being left out particularly. I see it as just people being invited in at different points in the conversation.
And how is it getting reviewed? Is there are new teachers on here, people who have not done curriculum writing? How do you work with people who have not done before, people who have? And then who's looking at the final product of what they come up with? Is that?
Well, Josh and I had some conversations about that today, and I think it starts with meeting with each one of these committees, getting their framework, getting their plan, and then they are part of this long-term conversation, and then Josh and I really review everything. And we go through it and we say, okay, does this fit with the mission of the district? Does it fit with the work that's already been done previously? Does it fit with where we want to take this, in what direction we want to take the curriculum? For instance, civics. That's something that has been a really important and valued topic amongst the board and amongst the teachers. So we thought, well, let's start with that. Let's focus on a few different areas. And that's one of the areas we chose to focus on so that we can at least start the conversation. What might this look like based on the new New York civic standards? You know, again, I'm not, it's not a final product yet, so it's hard for me to actually give you a visualization of what it might look like. I don't know what's going to come out of this. We hope a lot of really, really smart and good things that will serve our students.
That's the goal.
I can say too, just from my experience in curriculum writing and going through this with, a lot of people at one time, is that the biggest benefit of it is it exposes curricular overlap. And so you're seeing where you're losing gains and instruction on a yearly basis from second grade to third grade to fourth grade to fifth grade. Like you're getting the same concepts, and obviously some things need to be remediated throughout the year. But at the same time, you see where you can make further progress within the spring school experience.
I'm not concerned about that because now that you explained it, that's what I want to do. This would be that collaboration. My concern is there's a lot of money involved here, and getting a product, getting it all together, the logistics of it are more I'm concerned about it. So maybe you may need more time. What I'm suggesting is that if you did need more time, that maybe people be interested in doing it after school hours or even before school hours, so that there can be, take time to do good work like this.
I don't think anybody's suggesting that there's going to be a finished product at the end of 15 hours, Tim. I think we know we're not that ambitious.
There's got to be something though that,
Of course.
that can be.
Well, I think Josh mentioned a framework and mentioned,
So we've never seen that as a board, and that's not to be critical of anybody, is that I've seen on the board for many years, I've never seen a final product for summer curriculum.
Gotcha, okay.
And I'm concerned, here we go again.
Okay.
We're throwing all this money out for summer
curriculum work, and yet who reaps the benefit?
Okay,
Teachers reap the benefit because they get paid to do it,
sure.
but ultimately, we want our children to reap the benefit that is a body that's really reasonable and responsible and reliable and consistent. And that's the kinds of things I'm looking for.
So we can follow up reports on this.
Of course.
Sure. But we can't get those until we dive into it and start doing the work.
Devin, Mike, did you watch some of those webinars over the spring on some of these temporary money that's available with these grants, ESSER, and some of the COVID relief funds? And isn't a lot of it focused towards this sort of thing?
Towards catching up kids.
So, I mean, from those webinars that you watched, this money that's available to us, times of the essence, is it not?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, we have what, this coming, it's exactly that. So we have this upcoming calendar, this upcoming school year, and then I would think, what, 22, 23
Yes.
year? And then the money's gone.
Yeah,
after-
23.
And then, if I'm right, the money's gone
Yes,
after that?
the money's gone.
So I think like everything that we're talking about with this curriculum, I think it really needs to be focused on that money that's available to us and make sure we maximize what's available to us and try to make as much progress as we can on some of these goals that we're trying to hit so that, we can take advantage of that.
We could never do a project of this size with our budget.
Right.
Never. That's why we have to take advantage of.
So I
this.
think like now is the time, and I just think, I appreciate what Tim says. I think, getting us as a board as much information as possible.
Sure.
So that, like you said, after 15 hours, there's still plenty more to do, but it looks like we have some money available to do some of these things. So,
And then be ready to say, hey, this.
Gotcha. Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt.
No,
Very good dialogue, good dialogue. And that's what, and it's good for the public too to hear, so that was great. So they know what our teachers are doing and what to expect for their child when, they say, oh, Harry didn't do that in third grade, why is Johnny doing that in third grade, right? So they have kids coming up, so great conversation. So jumping back to personnel, E is E&L summer jump start program. We're
That's
adding-
also grant funded. Doesn't say it there, but it is grant funded.
We're adding one more teacher to that to help out, to keep it a 2-week program, 9 to 12, and Ms. Clary said it's about 30 students, so we want to keep the groups really small, so Ms. Clary will be running it, and keep the groups small so they can get intense instruction right before they come back to school. F is substitute nurse Patricia Tobin. G is tutoring Meg Leiden for us for the summer. There's an MOA for the Springs Teachers Association. I is summer IT tech support for John Gibbons, which we do every year for him to just help roll over all of our e-school and sometimes board meetings and other tech.
He's got a big job this summer in making sure that every room has a proper smart board
And phone.
ordering. He's got a big job this summer. The smart boards now are like a blackboard. You don't have those in the classroom when school opens up, you're basically handicapping.
And then we have 2 substitutes and summer committees for CSE, CPSE. If we have any meetings, we should have a few, and interview committee. We have a reading leave replacement that we need to interview for, and TA leave replacements that we need to interview for. So that is A, and then C through K.
Great, thank you very much. Any other questions on personnel? Any more questions?
No.
Barbara, do you want to make public the MOA for the teachers?
That's not what we're doing right now. That's part of finance. Okay. So do I have a motion to move personnel items A and then C through K to consent agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mike, you want to go over the finance items?
Not much this time around, but basically you've got all the warrants, you received those. Didn't get a chance to put together the new expenditures, which I'll forward to you as soon as it's done.
Mike, you have to do the soundproofing.
We have the walk-on for the soundproofing, capital project change order number 6 with Stalco Construction. And B, and item B, we kind of skipped over.
You don't have to read that whole thing.
I wasn't going to. Is the East Hampton Library book.
It's the annual library vote. They didn't do it last year because of COVID. They just took their previous budget and rolled it over. So this year they're going to be doing the vote.
Because we don't need to read the library thing out.
No.
I have a question about C. Just a typo is this consulting person for STEM says cost of $3,000 per day.
For a day and a half.
It's being split with Teachers Contact Center, that's why it's reading the way it is. We're not paying the whole cost, Teachers Contact Center is paying the other half. It's a total of really three days total. Yes, it's for that rate.
Per day?
No, we're paying a total cost of $4,500 for a day and a half. And then the Teachers Contact Center is paying the same amount for another day and a half.
So it's $3,000 per day for 3 days.
Yes.
Right, so it's $9,000 for day half.
Right. Yes.
That's kind of steep before going into a curriculum, right? But anyway, I'm sure it's needed because of this demographic.
Yes, and she's experienced, and she's done some work in, if you look online, Norwalk, Connecticut. She comes highly recommended from the Teachers Contact Center. As I said, this is the individual they'll be using for phys ed. And Sean has already met with her and really seemed to think that she was very focused, and she doesn't think we need a lot of work in this area. She thinks, having a science program where there's a science teacher that teaches elementary is phenomenal. And then all the activities we've done with robotics just have to be aligned. She's also spoken to us about additional grants. In fact, she put me in touch with a webinar that I'm doing tomorrow and Thursday for grants for technology.
Well, I guess
robotics is included in that.
I guess that puts you back in line with the $30,000 staff members want to do a program.
Really?
But she's getting that and a lot.
Is this to be covered by ESSER also?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely paid for by
We
us.
apologize.
And the last item in finance is the donation of a plastic shed to the athletic club.
Great. Okay. So do I have a motion to move finance items A through D to consent agenda?
Motion.
And the walk-on we did?
Oh, I'm going to have to read that separately.
Second.
All in favor? And then this will be finance item E, I guess,
No, it's the walk-on.
which is a walk-on for our, the soundproofing. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education, oh, wait, I have to read the whole thing, sorry. All right, whereas the Springs Union Free School District, the school district, awarded a contract to Stalco Construction Incorporated for general construction on the Phase 2 bond projects of the Springs School, and whereas the school district's architect and construction manager recommend a change order in the amount of $27,242.60 to the existing contract for general construction consisting of the 1, modification to Area A main office, 2, furnish and install new acoustical rated partitions between the library and the main office area, 3, furnish and install new acoustical rated partitions between the library and the main office area, upper wall only, and 4, install modified partition type D, 5, build new partition above CMU walls in room 33, and 6, provide necessary post-construction cleanup to be performed in addition to the work set forth in the contract with the district. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education approves change order number 1 to the site construction contract GC1 with Stalco Construction Inc., thereby increasing the contract sum by $27,242.60 to $9,247,942.60. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
See if we're still awake there? Okay, special ed, Carrie.
Just, CSE, these were some, last ones from the last week of school, and, nothing of, severe change, just continuing.
Okay. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby accepts the recommendation from the Committee on Special Education, CSE, cases 1 through 3. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Deb?
Terry also having some problems, but on the enrollment, Carrie and I reviewed it earlier today, and we have 29 pre-K students currently registered.
No, I went back, sorry, I reviewed it, that was from this year, it's 41, because they have the 2 programs next year.
Right.
So we have 18, and then, so it's 41 students pre-K, and then kindergarten, I think we're at 60. Those are like our 2 watching.
Was that the number like a month ago on the pre-K?
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't really had much enrollment. We have like 3 pending, 1 going into 2nd, 1 going into 10th. And someone called today coming into kindergarten, but they didn't send anything.
And we have 42 spaces altogether?
You have 18, 36, and 12 is 40.
48, right, okay.
Okay, so that's enrollment so far. It's kind of, registration has been slow, but usually picks up in August. So people, especially the week before school starts.
Carrie, was there about 7 left out of the 14 homeschools that have not made a decision yet on whether they're coming back?
Yeah.
And we've been calling as well.
Are all the morning slots taken?
All the morning slots are taken. So there's PM, I think, in both programs.
COVID update. We not have a COVID update. This is very confusing. Given our reduced numbers, we were now told that public schools can follow the guidelines for day camps and overnight camps. That was a change from when we started the summer, which, if you think about it, it's only 13 days in. Happy to report, Linda, there is no daily reporting any longer. There is no questionnaires that we have to fill out every day when we come into the building. But the biggest guidance here is not to change what you're currently doing for the summer as far as mask wearing for unvaccinated children and staff. They're believing in keeping status quo. In fact, the latest article out of the CDC was that there was an uptick in summer camp COVID cases. So my recommendation tonight, and I've spoken to Carrie, she's spoken to her staff, is that we stay the course and we require our children and our staff that are unvaccinated to still be masked, especially during indoor activities when they go out. Of course, that's very different. We don't know what September's going to look like right now, but there is a strong possibility that masks will be required on transportation. It seems like the one thing they have not deviated from. So public transportation, airports, airlines, it seems any place where you're congested in an enclosed space. Marion is keeping an eye on that, but I am going to have her look at loading the buses full. There is still a great shortage of bus drivers. Fingers crossed that we maintain the current ones that we have. We cannot collect information on who is vaccinated and who is not. We can't ask the question, just like in a supermarket, somebody can't ask you, are you vaccinated? That's why you don't have your mask on. We're not permitted to do anything either. Our attorneys gave us the latest guidance. They'll continue to update us as soon as there are more specific guidelines. We are still following the New York State Department of Health over the CDC.
So So for example, in the classroom, you can't ask a student who's not wearing a mask to have been vaccinated, but on the bus, you can require all students to have to put on masks.
Correct. And for the summer, I'm saying we stay the course. We've done so well so far. The kids aren't complaining, their parents aren't complaining. When they go outside, of course, it's a whole different world. They're without masks.
The kids are so used to it now, it's like, you know.
I mean, when school starts in the fall though, I mean, we know most of our kids are under 12, so pretty much the whole elementary school are going to be wearing masks at that.
Unless something else comes out. Their original recommendation, again, it keeps changing, was make changes slowly. So in some school districts, they've removed the plastic shields from the desks. They're already gone. We haven't talked to our union yet, we've got a meeting coming up with them. Do we want to remove them or do we want to leave them, especially in rooms that maybe they're not 6 feet anymore because we're bringing additional furniture back in and it might be 3 feet distance.
And if the kids aren't wearing masks, maybe want to keep the shields.
So they've held up really well. We spent a little bit more money than other places, and they're really in very good condition. So a lot of them today were walking through the building. On the COVID testing side, spoke to Christine, spoke to Mr. Ryan, and we are signing up to be able to do free testing. The state and the county got additional money to make available private companies that will come in and do free testing, either at will, during spikes. I put in the survey, I had a spot where I said, look, don't just take Springs data separately, but if there's a spike in East Hampton, Springs should be included in that testing. I put in that we would provide, they asked what we could provide. I said we could provide space, we could provide security, but we were short on nursing staff, and definitely they would have to send individuals that were skilled in testing because we could not provide that. But they're looking for cooperation. I don't know if there'll be any reimbursement for us for the use of space or for our security guards, but I definitely thought it was worth signing on so they knew just how great the need was, how many districts were cooperating.
Who were you talking to?
New York State received an incredible amount of money to do testing in public schools. And they were surveying school districts to see who would sign on to do this. You had to check the boxes on what kind of grade level you were, whether you would do it for sports, whether you would do it for outbreaks, whether you would do it on a sporadic basis. You know, just, oh, we're in the area, would you like us to come in and, you know, test 100 people? It's like, to let you know.
Thank you very much. We have a few items of old business here, which is just approval of minutes. So be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the minutes from the June 7th, 2021 meeting with group bid, the June 7th, 2021 work session and mask resolution, the June 21st, 2021 regular meeting, and the June 28th, 2021 regular meeting. Do I have a motion? Second? Second. All in favor? New business, we have retreat dates, so I think, are we all available on the 21st? If that was correct, I think.
What time would you like to start for?
I don't know, we just start.
We do it at 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock?
8 o'clock. I'll probably book it.
The 21st?
21st.
Okay.
Yes.
Here at the SYA building?
Yeah.
This space really works nice.
Yeah.
Really not gonna do it if you want,
And that's just the board, would you like me here as well?
Let's discuss it.
Let's discuss that. We may want to have some more time, we may want to have time for you, and I know we've spoken at some point about maybe having another retreat with the administration, right? So, but probably not on the same day.
Okay.
Right?
I'd like to do that when we talk about that, about that session.
Yes.
Retreat with the new administrator, that'd be great. Because we have a new principal,
Yeah.
assistant principal.
You want to put that on the workshop discussion, the night?
Oh, yeah.
Pick a date, pick a date.
When we talk about it?
I know there's some of the posted this program they're doing, so maybe we'll do it in September. Definitely in September.
And that'll be after our retreat as well.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to tell you how that went and how that facilitator, recommends what they recommend. And the other one I already covered.
All right, it is now time for public commentary number 2. If anyone here present, or Matt, if anyone who's watching wants to call in with a question for the board, this is their time to do so. Yes?
I just had a quick question about the pre-K. So, because we're, I guess, subcontracting that out, would they also have to follow the same sort of mask guidance and COVID restrictions that we put in place in the main building?
Yes.
Okay,
They're going to be part of spring school.
okay. I know with the little kids, it's a lot of different facilities doing things different with very small children like that. It's very difficult for that age group.
Yeah, they spent this year wearing masks.
At Enrollment, okay. And then the other thing I wanted to say is I am also just very appreciative, just to piggyback off of what Christine was saying, with the professional development being offered this summer. I know everybody's schedules are different, but for me, it is a time where I have a little bit more downtime, and I'm really excited to have that opportunity to get curriculum writing done. It's also, we started it, so to be able to pick it back up and get have all the groundwork ready to go for the beginning of the year. For me, because that's how it works, I like to be able to have it done before the start of the school year, so I'm appreciative of that.
Thank you very much. Are we still looking for a part-time nurse, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I was hoping to hear something good. I know that we're lucky enough to have Deb Girardi, is not actually leaving for Florida for a little while, and that she'll, we're very fortunate with that. I just wanted to know if there's, any news on getting that part-time nurse that we will need at some point.
There is such a shortage. This summer has really been very difficult. Some ESY programs did not open due to nurse shortage, due to staffing shortage. So we're very grateful here at Springs to everybody who stepped up to work with our students, and we're even helping East Hampton out with one of our staff members. So we're still looking for a security guard. It's becoming more difficult out here. It really is. So yes, we're still looking. Deb and Tara both agreed to stay on probably through November. We will continue to search. We've got 3 agencies who will approve contracts on the relog that Carrie will reach out to.
Matt, anything going on there? Anyone calling for us?
You have 0 callers. Thank you.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. In that case, that seems to be it. If there's nothing else going on, then do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Great, thank you very much.